It's days like these, ladies and gentlemen. It's on days like these that a motor journalist has to kneel down. Why? Because I've got a short tripod, and if I stand up, this is what you're gonna see. So anyway, back to the kneeling position and the Ferrari California T behind me. T stands for turbo, and it's quite interesting for Ferrari. So now we're gonna get into it and see how it drives, what it's all about, and why turbo. Ferrari California was launched back in 2008. It's a Grand Tourer, a Gran Turismo, or a GT, which means a high-performance car which is also good at long-distance journeys. It's comfortable and luxurious. After the 2012 facelift, in 2014 Ferrari launched the California T, a thoroughly refreshed model with a turbocharged engine. Even Ferrari has to think about downsizing these days, but it kept a V8 engine under the bonnet. On the outside, only the roof hasn't changed. It folds in 14 seconds, taking away 100 liters from the 340-liter boot. There are also changes on the inside, where the California T looks more modern than its predecessor. Hello, this is the Ferrari California T. As you can see, the gearbox is operated from the paddle shift and from these buttons down here. Now, I'm telling you about this because probably, like me, you are among the 70% of California buyers who haven't owned a Ferrari before, or in my case, haven't driven one before. So, I'm here to experience the Ferrari for the first time as a friendly car, as a car that, as the lady said yesterday, your grandma could drive. Really? Well, my grandma is dead, both of them actually. But yeah, in comfort mode, it's a very pleasant GT car. That's how this car is classified. It is a GT car, it's not a sports car, and in that case it's a good entry model to join the Ferrari family if you want to. It's a hardtop convertible, so on a day like today it's 14 seconds if it's too hot, 14 seconds if you want to drive with the roof down. Obviously you want to drive with the roof down because it's just so beautiful around here, and you can listen to the sound. And the sound, well, that's an interesting bit. This car, the California T, is turbocharged. It's the first time since Ferrari F40. Now, in case of Ferrari F40, the turbochargers were there to add more power to make the car go faster. Here, Ferrari went for downsizing. It's the emissions and all that. So what they did is they made the engine slightly smaller. It's still a V8, but it's a 3.9 now, and they've added two twin-scroll turbochargers, and as a result this car now has 755 Newton meters of torque, which is a staggering amount. But this 755 Newton meters of torque is available only in 7th gear, interestingly enough. Why? Ferrari says they want you to experience the naturally aspirated Ferrari engine. So in gears 1 to 3 you've got the same torque, which is probably around 600 Newton meters, and gears 4, 5 and 6 it's growing to about probably 650, and then in 7th gear there's this whoomp. All of a sudden you get the full torque, which is good when you're driving along the motorway and you just want to, I don't know, overtake or something. Speaking of this downsizing business, this car is supposed to use 10 liters per 100 kilometers in the combined cycle, which sounds a bit like the Opel Insignia OPC, or Vauxhall Insignia VXR, I think that's what you have in the UK. Anyway, I think as we're driving it right now, or as I am driving it right now, it uses more like 20 liters per 100 kilometers, but I've been going up and down this mountain, well, the last 3 hours, I think. Okay, now I might use a bit less fuel because I've got a old Citroën BX in front and I shall overtake. Oh, this is absolutely brilliant. Now, as it's a Ferrari, the buttons are on the steering wheel, which is kind of annoying, especially the indicators, because, okay, now it's alright. But imagine I'm on a roundabout and the wheel is turned upside down. I've got no clue which button to press. Another thing, yeah, we've got a key and then we've got a start button. So it's sort of like Honda Civic. Quite annoying. I mean, if you got the starter button, use it for everything, you know, make keyless ignition and stuff. There is the Ferrari Maranello. Right now I'm driving in comfort, but I can switch into sport, which makes the car more responsive, or I can even put it in ESC off mode, which allows me to play a bit more with the car. A bit more because the roads are just too narrow for the kind of power this car has, and this car has 560 horsepower, so that's plenty. You can drive it in fully automatic or switch it in manual. It's good fun, this car, but it's manageable fun. This car is easy to drive. I mean, unless you really overcook it. Your grandma could drive this. So the question is this a real Ferrari? Well, it does sound like one. In order to achieve this sound, Ferrari went to great lengths. The exhaust manifold is assembled out of 3 or 4 parts, separate parts. One comes from Japan, 2 come from somewhere else. It's welded together in yet another place. And all the elements, all the pipes, they have equal length, which is supposed to make this car sound, well, naturally aspirated, that's one thing, and the sound is supposed to be uniform or something like that. It's not discreet, that's for sure. Even if you're in auto, sometimes the car just decides to downshift and then it's loud. This happens especially when you're going uphill. Now I'm going downhill, obviously, but still, it's not not very discreet. It's not rude like a Lamborghini, but it's loud enough to make sure that everybody knows you're driving an Italian car. The suspension on this car, that's something really worth mentioning. It's this magnetotronico something. Well, basically these are adaptive dampers, very good adaptive dampers. In a fraction of a second they can go from stiff to comfortable. Even now, as I'm driving in sport mode, I can put the bumpy road mode on with a button here, and I get sport throttle response, sport ESP, but comfortable suspension. And to tell you the truth, even in sports mode, this suspension is very comfortable. And today we decided to take a shortcut, and you know how the shortcuts are. I've been on some really rough roads, and this car, it's just so comfortable. It's also very composed.
The California T accelerates from 0 to 100 km per hour in 3.6 seconds, 0.2 of a second faster than the naturally aspirated model. This car comes with carbon ceramic brakes as standard. Ferrari claims under normal use they're virtually maintenance-free. Speaking of which, Ferrari offers this car with 7 years of complimentary maintenance.
The steering wheel might be a bit too big, and yeah, this sat-nav system may not be top-notch, but it's not bad. And even with the open roof, I can see it, more or less. There is also the turbo gauge. It's actually a touch kind of setup. So here I have my boost. If I touch it one time, there's a clock. If I touch it another time, there's temperature, 26 degrees. And I've got turbo response as a percentage. And I've got turbo efficiency. So that's that. Now, if you want to play around, you will have to let the turbo spool a bit. But most of you will probably not attempt any fooling about, so you'll be satisfied with what it is. And yeah, it's a really comfortable car. Hear this? Brilliant.
But is it a real Ferrari? In Ferrari's history, we had the 250 GT California Spider, so it's covered on that front, with prices starting at around 190,000–200,000 euros depending on the market. The car is exclusive, and as before I mentioned that Ferrari decided to limit its sales to 7,000 units annually. So even if the California is the best-selling model from Maranello, you won't be seeing one around every corner. And the turbo? It's another step in the engine development. It makes the car more usable every day. And anyway, there's also a hybrid Ferrari, so a turbo is not that big of a deal. Subscribe to my channel to be up to date with the latest reviews. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Google+. You'll find all the links in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.